my name's Vicki, and today I'm going to be making a mint chocolate cheesecake featuring Philadelphia cream cheese. The best thing about this cheesecake is it's a no-bake cheesecake recipe. I found that with a 6-month-old, it's really hard to try and do a full cheesecake because most of the time they take an hour to bake, they have to chill overnight, and it just doesn't work in my schedule. So I've redone an old cheesecake recipe of mine, and I've created a mint chocolate no-bake cheesecake. I hope you enjoy. First thing we need to do is pull out 2 blocks of Philadelphia cream cheese so it can soften while we make our crust. The crust is going to take about 10 minutes to bake once we get it mixed up, and then we'll move on to the cheesecake batter. First part of the cheesecake is the crust. Now, part of the mint is Girl Scout Thin Mint cookies. Of course, you can use any kind of mint cookie, grasshoppers, whatever you can find at the grocery store. So in order to do that, we need to preheat our oven to 350 and line a springform pan with wax paper so the cheesecake doesn't stick to it. So for our thin mint cookie crust, we're going to use 1 full box, that's 2 sleeves of Girl Scout cookies, equals about 2 cups of crushed up cookie. We use our little food processor here to coarsely grind up the cookies, a half stick of melted butter, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. We're just going to mix all that together in a bowl and then press it into our springform pan and stick it in the oven. Now you want to make sure that the cookies are still kind of chunky. It doesn't need to be ground real fine, otherwise it will never bake. This is the messy part. You want to make sure that you press the cookies into the bottom of the pan and coat the entire bottom of the pan. If there's a few gaps, don't worry. As the chocolate melts, it'll help smush everything together. Now for the base of our cheesecake, we're going to use 2 softened blocks of Philadelphia cream cheese mixed with 2 boxes of instant chocolate pudding, 1 cup of whipping cream, and a ½ cup of sour cream. So we've got our 2 blocks of softened cream cheese, and now we're going to add the ½ cup of sour cream into this and beat it until it's nice and soft and smooth, and then we'll add our instant pudding and our whipping cream. Now after you beat the 2 bars of Philadelphia cream cheese with the ½ cup of sour cream, you're going to want to scrape the edges of the bowl just to make sure it's all in the bottom there. It's nice and soft, and we're going to add our 2 boxes of instant chocolate pudding as well as the ½ cup of whipping cream, and we're going to beat that until it's nice and smooth. Once your crust is done, pull it out of the oven and set it aside to cool while you're making the rest of your cheesecake. Once your batter's mixed together, you're going to want to use a spatula to scoop it into your pan and spread it evenly over the crust. Now since this is a no-bake cheesecake, your batter is going to be a little bit thicker than if it had eggs in it. So you're really going to have to work to spread it evenly over your pan. But just work with it a little bit. It's nice and soft. It should smooth out. And then you'll place this in the fridge for, it only takes about 20 minutes for it to set. But the longer you leave it in, the better it gets. It'll be more firm like a regular cheesecake. Now that we've got our cheesecake batter spread into the pan, we're going to go ahead and set this in the fridge for about 20 minutes. The longer you leave it in, the better it gets while we make our Andy's Candies chocolate ganache. That's the best part of it. The topping for our cheesecake is going to be a Andy's Candies chocolate ganache. This is going to include 2 packages of Andy's Candies, about 10 ounces of chocolate, a 1/3 cup of whipping cream, and 1 stick of butter. Make sure you set aside just a few pieces of the chocolate, put it in your freezer so it gets nice and hard. We're going to chop that up and use it as a garnish for our cheesecake at the end. You're going to mix the ingredients for the chocolate ganache on medium-low heat until everything is mixed and combined and it gets a nice dark, rich color. Once the ganache is ready to go, you're going to want to let it cool for just a few seconds. It'll start to harden up a little bit, and we'll pour it over top of the cheesecake in just a moment. The ganache topping can be poured on top of the cheesecake warm right off of the oven, or you can pour it and let it sit, and it gets kind of a fudgy texture to it. That's the way I like it, because then you have 3 distinct layers to your cheesecake. Your mint cookie crust, your chocolate cheesecake, and your chocolate mint ganache. You're going to just pour the ganache on top of the cheesecake. It should cover the entire top coating. You shouldn't need to smooth it out. It's nice and melted. The ganache is going to create a nice shiny coat for our cheesecake. We're going to stick it back in the fridge just to set and, like I said, get that fudgy texture while we cut up a few pieces of Andy's Candies for our garnish. For our garnish, you can do a few things. The candies are a little bit small to take a grate or 2 and get nice chocolate curls, so I found it best to just go with the grain of the chocolate that's already there and cut some nice stripes. You'll see you'll get the nice minty green stripe as well as some of the chocolate, and we're just going to drop that on top of our cheesecake to get a nice mint chocolate and mint green color to kind of break up the brown. Once the ganache is set, it won't really move. It'll be kind of sticky and it'll be a nice thick chocolate coating. The last thing we're going to do is just put those chopped up bits of Andes candies on the top, kind of in a little starburst pattern, or it almost looks like a little campfire wood. And we're just going to drop all of those pieces on there and just give it a little bit more color, add a little bit of green to it so it doesn't look like a big brown cake. And there you have it, a no-bake mint chocolate cheesecake made with Philadelphia cream cheese. Enjoy!